Good morning. Today is triangles day 6, so we are finishing up our IXL and finishing triangles. As always, don't forget your do now. Watch this screencast of IXL examples. I use the reflection comments that some of you provided from Friday, and I'm going to show you a few more examples on W3, W10, and O11. So you can skip to those parts in the video if needed. The IXL assignment is finished today. It is 7th grade W3, 7th grade W9, 7th grade W10, and 8th grade O11. After you are done, please make sure you fill out the Google form for your IXL scores. I also give you a preview of the IXL and angles, as well as the reflection. W3 IXL was classifying triangles. So I am just going to review a few key components when classifying triangles. If you're not given the measures, you actually have to look at the symbols that are given. So in this case, if you look at the angles, you see two angles have the exact same number of arcs. So in this case, it is going to be isosceles. But we also now have to look at the angles to determine, and it has two acute angles and one obtuse. So in this case, by sides and angles, it's an isosceles obtuse triangle. Okay, you have to see one matches one, and then this one's two, so we know it's a different angle measure. The next example, so same thing, we just want by its sides. So if I know two angles are the same, their sides must also be the same. So in this case, it's an isosceles triangle. Okay, so that's how you use the markings to identify what type of triangle. A few students identified that W10 was a challenge for them. So I am going to review W10, a few examples. One angle of a triangle measures 105 degrees. The other two angles are in a ratio of 6 to 19. So we don't know them. So we let the one angle be 6x and the other angle be 19x because we don't know the initial measure. We want to know the measure of these two angles. So we set our equation, and we know interior angles of a triangle is always equal to 180 degrees. So we get 25x plus 105 equals 180. I subtract 105 from both sides, and I get 25x equals 75. I divide by 25 to both sides, and I get x to equal 3. Now I'm not done because that doesn't tell me the angle measures. I need to sub them back in to my equation. So the first angle was 6x, so I do 6 times 3, and that's 18 degrees. And the second angle is 19, so I do 19 times 3, and I get 57 degrees. And I can always check. I know my first angle was 105, so I can always check to make sure that they equal 180 as well. I'm going to do one more example, so hopefully you'll get the hang of this. One angle of the triangle measures 20 degrees. The other two angles are in a ratio of 3 to 13. So I don't know the value of x, but I know their ratio. So it's 3x to 13x. And I know they must equal 180 degrees. So I combine my like terms, and I get 16x plus 20 has to equal 180 degrees. I subtract 20 from both sides, and I get 16x equals 160. I divide by 16 to both sides, and I get x equals 10. Now remember, that's not my answer. I have to sub it back in. So I know the first angle was 20 degrees, right? My second angle was 3 times 10, right? Because it was in the ratio of 3 to 13, or 30 degrees. And my third angle was 13 times 10, or 130 degrees. So those are my three angle measures, and I should always quickly check to make sure they equal 180 degrees. And the second and third angle are in a 3 to 13 ratio. I just want to do two last examples reviewing the exterior angle theorem. So the exterior angle theorem says the exterior angle, or x plus 50, has to be equal to the sum of the opposite two interior. So I have x plus 3 plus x minus 48. I combine my like terms and I get 2x minus 45 has to be equal to the x plus 50. Remember, I get variables to one side, so I'm going to subtract x. And I get x on this side. I get the numbers to the other side, so I'm going to add 45 to both sides. And I get x to equal 95 degrees. The sum of the two interior equals the exterior. I'm going to show you one more example. So same thing, the exterior is S. It has to equal the sum of the two opposite interior. So I have S minus 40 plus S minus 44. I am going to combine my like terms, so I get 2S minus 84, and that has to be equal to S, right? I am going to get my variables to one side, so I subtract 2s. I now have negative s equals negative 84. I divide by a negative 1 because I want a positive s. So I divide by negative 1, and s in this case is equal to 84 degrees, okay? The sum of the two interior has to be equal to the exterior angle. Please try your best. If you need help, it is best you join Zoom at 11:30 a.m. I will help you live. I will send the link and password in an email at 11:15 a.m. You can use your notes and examples. Just don't forget to complete the Google form, and these 4 triangle IXLs will go in as one major grade today. Thank you.